Welcome to another FPV guide video. Today I'm going to be introducing you to a brand new product, the ProDrone BYRD, which is a folding multicopter. It is now available from carolinadrones.com, and this product is interesting because it both has most of the features that the competition has, such as sonar-based altitude hold, app-based follow me and advanced controls, and it also folds up to be incredibly small for traveling. Let me show you the back side of this case. Right here, look at that picture. That is almost life-size how small this gets. So let's take a look at this. As you can tell, this is really a very small case for a 550 size quad. On top it has a carry handle, which is really very convenient. And it has a nifty locking feature, a little hinge or little pin lock, and a magnet. But pulling out on the front opens it up just like that. And you can see what's inside here. On top, you see the ProDrone. This is the nose of it right up front here. And in the back of the case is the shoulder strap, which actually is a very nice shoulder strap. Let me yank this out of the case for you. There's some real nice features here. There's a cool little quick release. All you have to do is flip it up instead of having to toggle it through a double lock thing. Just unlock it back down when you have the right size. That makes for a really nice shoulder strap, and I really like the padded neoprene on top here. Really nice strap. Of course, the main reason you use a shoulder strap is to avoid accidentally dropping your radio while you're flying. Something we really don't want to do, because that is the main control center and how we control everything that goes on in this unit. Now the unit itself, let's just pull that right up. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna unload the box, and then we're gonna take a look at what we pulled out of it. So let's get this one out. Here's the unit. That is the entire aircraft. And I mean, I'm trying to unload the box, but really, this thing is sexy. That is so small. Put that one down here. And continuing right down here, you see the user manual. Pulling that thing up, you can get a closer look at it. And up on top here is the user manual. Let's just grab all of these papers real quickly. The selection of manuals included here shows a lot of thought have gone into this product. The first thing, of course, is what we've always gotten used to, the quick start guide, but it doesn't end there. Then we have the content, we've seen those before, and quality control, we've seen that before. And here is a quick little kind of keyring, little luggage tag thing that has all the guides. That is the light flashes that you get from the copter when you fly. And it comes with a brand name, surprisingly, Samsung 16 gigabyte memory card that should be able to shoot a lot of video. And it is kind of refreshing to see an actual brand name memory card. I don't know that it makes a big difference, but it's a real product. But what's more interesting is right here. Notice this says after sales manual or after sales service manual. So they're projecting this being used in a professional manner. Along with that, there is a routine maintenance manual. And then there's the usual battery safety guide and a quite thick book, the disclaimer figures. All right, so that's what we find here in the user manual section. Moving on further down here, you can see what we've got. Over here is the camera. Here is the little case that says accessories, and it basically is containing a USB power cable, a lens cover for the camera, and the power cord for the charger. Over here, we actually have the charger. Let's pull that out and take a quick look at it. We won't be using that. Here is two cables. The little one plugs into the radio controller, and the second one, the big one, plugs right into the power plug on the battery to charge it. It takes about 2 hours to charge the battery fully. It is a 4S 7000 milliamp battery, so that is a pretty hefty battery, and it of course uses the standard plugs we've gotten used to right here. Alrighty then, moving on, let's grab the radio, get that out of here. Here is the radio, and you want to hold on to this little foam thing, because notice how small this radio is. They've done some clever moves here. The antenna folds all the way down, and so does the traditional radio handle. So that makes it a lot more compact to travel with. Look at how thin and skinny that is. But if you are traveling with it, you want to hold on to this foam because you want to protect the sticks. So with this foam, this is ready to go in your backpack. Next to it, we find here in some white plastic, the iPad holder or the smartphone holder. You push the button on the side and it pops up. And then you literally have a little lip on each end. And finally on top you have a lip right here that folds down like that. Now to mount this on your controller, what you do is literally just push it right into this little slot on top, click, it goes, and to remove it, you push the button and it comes right out. That's kind of really nice because it allows people like me that usually fly goggles to fly this thing without actually having my smartphone or iPad mounted to it. Finally, in the case, we get the actual camera case. So let's remove the empty case and take a look at the camera. The camera case is a surprisingly solid hardcover case that is filled. Let's check it out. By the way, they have some really cool little zipper pulls right here. Look at that, it has the ProDrone logo here. And when we open it up, we'll see there's about 1 inch of foam protecting the camera in all directions. So let's pull the camera out of here and put the case down. Now on the front of this, we have a camera lens protector. So we're gonna pull that off, just like that. Then you see that there's a plastic device right here that holds the camera and also prevents the thing from turning. So we're gonna pull that out like that. And now the gimbal moves freely. You can see it right here. That is the camera. Now on the back side, I'm just gonna turn it back upside so you can see it here. This is where the memory card goes. It also has ventilation holes here and in the front. And of course it has the lens. The camera is a 1080p camera that can shoot 1080 or 720p at 30 or 60 frames per second. It can save files as AVI, MP4, and it also shoots 12 megapixel still files or 16 megapixel still files that can be saved as RAW files or as JPEG files. I'm lazy, so at the moment I've set it up to use JPEGs. On top here you see the major connector. This is a multi-pin connector with power on the ends, and on the sides here you see there is a pin in that is a safety in case you land a bit hard. It will keep you from losing your dampers. So that's pretty much the entire camera. Notice how it has hard stops on the side. It goes up about 30 degrees up and it goes down a little more than 90 degrees down. So let's put that down here and take a look at the copter. Alrighty, this is a piece of beauty. It's a little more fiddly than a lot of quads, mostly because it has more movement to it. Like the folding propellers keeps moving around. Before we get started, here is my iPad Air, and I'm gonna put that right on top. And see if I can pick it all up and show you. That's how big this is. This entire ProDrone BYRD can almost, and I'm saying almost, hide behind an iPad. It will probably hide quite nicely behind an A4 or a legal letter. So this is how compact this thing packs down. Notice on the back side, we have the attachment for the camera and the folded legs. There's really nothing more to build this drone. So let's put the iPad back down and deploy the quad. The entire thing is here. The first step is to deploy the legs. Take the outside leg, pull it up until it clicks, and repeat with the other leg. Next, let's get the camera. Remember, we removed the safety clip, and you want to make sure that you hold onto the safety clip and the lens protector, because you're always going to be using these, because the joints in cameras like this are very sensitive. If this camera gets bent, you really cannot recover the camera. So always travel very carefully with that. Now, it's easy to see what way it goes on because we have the big connector right here and we have the connector down here. So what we do is we turn it over, push this part into the hole right here. So slide it in, and then what I'm gonna do is use 2 fingers. This is not a tilt switch, but a pull switch. So I'm pulling it back and pushing it down, and it's now connected in place. So that was the camera. Now we're gonna turn it over. Arms comes out. You hear that click? It has a quite firm feeling when it gets to the right position. And woohoo! Just like that, the drone is deployed, and now you really see how big it is. The distance from here to here is enormous, where a Phantom is pretty much from here to here. This one has this much more distance, and that extra distance gives you more stability when you're flying. Of course, it is possible that the flexibility in the arms might equal that out. But the convenience of being able to fold it up and put it in a backpack is very hard to get around. Let's take a quick look at the actual propellers here. And before I do that, I forgot to mention, in the kit there's also included a complete set of spare propellers. And very conveniently, because these are folding propellers, as you can tell, they're very small. So this case actually contains a full set of 4 extra propellers. So they come like this, and we're gonna put these down, and here is 2 propellers. Just like that, so there are 4 blades. Inside here they have a bushing, and let me show you how these goes on and off. On top of these, it shows what way to open. And basically each of the caps on these arms on top of the motor just spins right off. They are self-locking, so you'll see an arrow that says lock and unlock, and they are different because the different propellers goes different directions. So you will have to turn them different. You just basically turn this lid off. Underneath you're gonna find a yoke. Remove that yoke, and please do not lose that. Next thing you do is you pop the propellers right off, and there they are. You can see that the propellers right here. And I think I'm gonna move this and let you have a good look at this motor. There you go, that's the motor. And one of the cool things here, notice how the pins for the propellers are literally firmly into the motor itself. So you don't have to worry about super tightening the lid on top, because you're not gonna spin the propeller off during motor braking. What you do, you still wanna make sure that the top lid is down firmly. So let me hold this one and keep it up at the camera. And there's one went on right there. See if I can do this one-handed. Here comes the other one. One more. And here is the yoke. I would really right away order some spare yokes, because if you go hiking in the mountains and lose that, you're done flying for the day. So get some spare yokes. And finally, we just take this lid, twist it right on there, and I'm gonna have to put this down. There we go. You can grab these kinda and twist it down, and now you can unfold the propeller and you're ready to go. So that's pretty much it. There is also tricks for balancing folding propellers. So I'm going to be coming back and make a quick article on my blog, fpvguide.com, about how to balance folding propellers. That's not a new concept because we've been using folding propellers for years on CP helicopters. And CP helicopters, of course, all our propellers or used to be called blades were folding. So because of that, we know how to balance these, but as everything else in this business, balancing is a good idea. These ones though do look like they're in very good shape, and I have no reason to believe that you cannot safely fly it as is. I am gonna fold this up a little bit to make it compact. Right there. And I know Frank was telling me that carolinadrones.com are gonna be having all these spare parts. They're gonna be having the propellers and all the different units in the ProDrone line. So getting these spare parts, you can get all of that from carolinadrones.com. Now let's get this turned on. Actually, before I do that, let me walk you through the radio real quickly. Here's the radio. It is incredibly compact. It's actually a little bit smaller than a P3 radio. And the one I have here is the standard edition. The standard edition does not have HDMI out. However, the advanced and also the premium edition has HDMI and USB out here, right on this part here. Like I mentioned before, the antennas fold from the back side out just like that, and then the handle comes out like this and comes right into position here. While we're looking at the underside, here is the programmable switches, one on each side. And one of the very cool thing on the premium versions of the higher end version, not on the standard version I believe, is there is a mechanical payload switch drop. So you can push the two buttons together and you can drop a payload. And we're gonna get back to that real quickly in a moment. But right now, on the radio we have the auto launch and auto land. So when you start these things, they are GPS driven. Make sure you have about 30 feet clearance around you. I just saw a video where somebody put a copter down, mashed the throttle all the way and shot it straight up in the sky and hit a tree. I mean, seriously guys, if there's a tree up there, you're gonna hit it. So don't do that. Anyway, you have auto launch. It's gonna pop up about 2 meters in the air. Here's the power button and here is the return to home button. If the battery falls to 10%, it's gonna auto return to home. If it does that and you don't want it to return to home, you can actually switch the flight mode switch to interrupt the automatic return to home. So flipping that switch then would give you the opportunity, for instance, instead of having it come all the way back, just basically throttle down. I'm gonna land out there because I know there's a lot of wind, I'm not gonna make it back. So you can make professional decisions doing that. Now, we have here the flight modes, the P, F, and A mode. Most of you guys are gonna be flying this in P, which is GPS hold in reality. However, you're also gonna often be using the F, which is IOC, or Intelligent Orientation Control. There's a lot more to be learned about that, but basically that could, for instance, be if you stick it up and the camera is facing me and I go a little bit to the right, it's gonna start making a circle around me instead of turning around itself. So that allows you to fly it in some creative ways. Of course, going to the A is you're driving. If you let go of the sticks, it's gonna keep drifting because it's not in GPS hold mode. I like flying A because when you let go of the sticks, it doesn't stop to stand still. It'll keep drifting, so it's great for video shoots. But it does require you to be a bit more experienced in flying. Now, next to the flight mode, we right here have the green button for taking a JPEG or taking a still shot. Down here is what strangely is the yaw for the camera. I would like to see this yaw button being assigned to the exposure compensation. So right now, this yaws the camera. I would rather see it being hooked up to the exposure compensation. That would be much more meaningful. I can look at my image, say I want a little bit darker, I want a little bit lighter, and do it right here. Over here on the other side, we have the red button. That is the start stop video recording, and down here is the standard gimbal button. So moving this button tilts the camera up and down. That's the main features here. Down here you see the copter and the radio. When you turn these on, if I turn the radio on now, the radio would come up and the copter would be red, and the dots in between tells me how much battery is left. Most of the functionality in today's copters doesn't come from the radio. It actually comes from our iPads. So let's install the iPad holder. That folds down right here, and we push here, it comes out. We fold this thing up, and we fold the bottom at the top, or the tab at the bottom up. Now you grab this, and you can see there's a little slit here with a little door. So that plops right in here, and I'm gonna grab my iPad. Push the thing back down, and your iPad is installed. I think I need it up a little more. There. And let's go and find it. To connect to the video here, you go to settings. Then you go up to Wi-Fi, and you are looking for Wi-Fi 205050 is what it's called. So I'm gonna click on that. And the first time it connects, it's gonna ask you for a password. And the password is 12345678. That's what you need to connect to the drone, or rather to the controller. Now, like I told you, this is pre-production samples, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna change the name of the Wi-Fi spot to be ProDrone or something like that, rather than Wi-Fi 205050. But what do I know? I'm just guessing. I do know that the Wi-Fi, or the app that is available, and you can find it on my website at fpvguy.com and check it out. The app is a beta app, and like I said, it's a pre-production sample. So things are gonna be changing. We can't take everything for granted, but we get a good idea of what we're looking at. Now, turning this around here and going back out, moving over, here is the ProDrone app. I click on that. We get a little sound and a video animation. Now, here's the gallery you can save pictures in. Here is the user manual. The user manual, you can actually save it out as a PDF from the app, which is very convenient. Or rather, you can open this, you can open or send it to another app. So I sent it to Goodreader, which gave me ability to read it without opening this app. But there is a full PDF manual in here. Clicking on the H, we goes in, and now we see the video directly from the 1080p camera. And let's look at some of the features here. Over here is the tool section. You can select European, Japanese, Chinese stick setup. I am of course flying what is called mode 2. And you can also program the 2 programmable buttons here. So it could be take photo, record video, or recenter camera. So there's a couple of options there. In here, I've selected JPEG, but you could select a RAW. Instead of AVI, I'm saving MP4 file, and I'm currently shooting 1080p video, 1080p 60 frames per second video. Over here, you have some options for on, off, and going back out, here's also camera options right here. Here's an EV setting that I would like to see connected to the dial on the left shoulder of the controller. But here's an EV setting that can make you basically exposure compensation, a little lighter, a little darker. Below is your ISO setting, and finally down the bottom is your white balance setting. So it's not very fine increments, but it gives you manual control over the camera, which is really nice. Over here, you'll see that there is like a map icon. That pulls up a satellite map image, which I can tell you right now, that picture is not here. Probably because we don't have GPS connection in the studio. Down the corner, right here, you still can actually see the camera. So you can use that little corner picture to frame the shot while you're flying, if you're flying based on the map. And it's also possible using the tools here to create a waypoint flight operation and have this thing fly based on your map rather than actually be looking as you're flying. So this is set up and ready for industrial use, or for such a thing as search and rescue that wants to fly back and forth patterns to look for somebody out there. Clicking back here, now we go back to the main one. We don't want to see that anymore. We just want to see the camera, and there it is. So we're back to that. Let's get back out of that. I'm going to pop this off here. I'm going to show you how easy it is to travel with this thing. And I also wanted to talk about payloads, but let's start talking travel. The radio here, unlike some other radios where this folds all the way over, I'm just going to turn this off now. There we go. And push the button. This comes all the way off and folds down really nicely. It's very tight because obviously it has to hold an iPad. And so we have that. We have the radio. We're going to fold this up. We're flipping the antennas back. And there's that. We're going to put for traveling, we're going to put the foam on the sticks. So that was easy. Then we have this part here. We're taking it back apart, and like I was saying before, to get this off, you have to pull on that and then lift out the camera, and you can take it right out just like that. So that's how easy it is to remove the camera on this. Lay down the legs, and the entire unit has now been wrapped up. And what I'm going to show you real quickly, this case here is not particularly large. It is a small Nanook camera case. And let me show you. This is actually a Nanook 920 case, and it's a perfect fit for the copter itself. So we're opening this up. I'm grabbing the copter, props up, just like that. And camera fits in here with a little bit of goodwill. If you do that, you really need to, let me move that over here. You can see if you do that, I would be okay with that. There's actually room underneath here. Cut 2 big blocks of foam so that the copter itself cannot crush the camera. That could go down there, and that's really all there is to it. One of the reasons I love the Nanook cases is because of their release system. It comes up here, you do like this, and to release them, instead of like prying on the handle, you just pull down on the little tab and that unlocks it just like that. But think about this for a minute. You saw how small this case is. This is not a big case like what we're used to for aerial photography drones. And on top of that, you have the radio and you have the iPad holder. So that's it. That is everything you need to travel with this thing. That is the smallest. This is a waterproof, heavily impact resistant case. I don't know anything else you can travel with a copter that small. And frankly, I would probably just tuck it right on top of my backpack and pack it in a way that it's not destroying the system. And I'll bring 2-3 sets of propellers just in case I bend a propeller. So let's get it back out. Now, looking at this entire copter here, this is the white one. The 2 big brothers are black. And let's go over what they all have. There is altitude lock control using ultrasound, like some of the other copters on the market. There's also a drift camera looking down, seeing details on the ground, preventing it from sliding around so you can fly inside without GPS. And it will still be able to stay in position because of the drift camera. On the top versions of this, which by the way are very cool and black, there is a cargo drop option. So back here, there is a hole that you can put a payload in. And this unit is able to carry, according to the manual, according to the manufacturer, you can fly a total of 3.8 kilograms. And the unit itself is only about 2 kilograms, a little less than 2 kilograms, ready to fly with camera. So that gives us a headroom of 1.8 kilogram of payload with the camera. So we have about almost 2 kilograms of payload this could fly without a camera. That means if you're working for, say, search and rescue, you can deploy a couple of water bottles and some MREs very easily up to a couple of kilometers out, and using the programmable buttons on the bottom of this controller, you can drop them exactly where you want this payload to be dropped. So I find it fascinating that this thing comes with an option to drop payload. Also, the bigger versions the higher end versions of this series comes with the option to use a GoPro, which we all know and love, of course, or a thermal camera. This is my FLIR View thermal camera. I don't know if you've ever seen this. You can't actually see through the lens because it's mirrored, but that is a thermal camera, and it's starting to oxidize. It's been used a lot. Interestingly, what ProDrone has done is they have made a thermal camera that has the same form factor as a GoPro. So you can put the thermal camera in their GoPro gimbal. That makes it incredibly interesting, both because it's a gimbal we want to have anyway for a GoPro, but also that camera would probably fit in a ton of other copters with GoPro gimbals, wouldn't it? So we have the maximum payload of 1.8 kilogram. That's a lot. Of course, that's going to ruin our 25-minute flight time. I mean, we all know how that works. The other thing I have to show you, if we just crack this open real fast. Here's the battery. And when I pull that out, that is 4S, 7,000 milliamp, and down here is the USB cable for USB plug right there for updating, and here's the power plug. But battery, lid, I cannot imagine that we won't very, very quickly see a twice as big battery, say 1400 milliamp hours or mAh or more, that fits right in here without a lid on top. Because we have tons of payload on this thing, why not put a bigger battery in here? Anyway, that's not something I could not easily sort out myself, and I'm sure that aftermarket product manufacturers will be making us a bigger battery, or ProDrone will make it. So stick this one back in and put the lid back on. It kind of just needs to smack down there. Fold the arms in. There we go. So that's basically my preview. I'm gonna go take this thing flying. Like I said, this is a pre-production sample, so a lot of the things we have seen here may be slightly adjusted, but I think this is pretty much exactly what you're gonna be seeing shipping in about end of December. There's gonna be 3 versions. The standard, which is this one for $949, and comes with a 1080p camera. The advanced, which is $1,050 and comes with a GoPro gimbal. And finally the premium, which is $1,399, comes with a 4K camera, payload drop, and both the advanced and the premium has 2 kilometers, 2,000 meter range. And the advanced and the premium has follow me, whereas the standard do not have follow me. So there you have it. That is the new ProDrone BYRD from carolinadrones.com, and they're gonna be having all the accessories as well. I have given this a very quick flight. It flies very much like a Phantom P3, but I'm gonna do some more flying, and I'm gonna get uploaded some video for you so you can see how stable the camera is. And we're gonna be begging and scraping and doing humiliating things to get to try the ProDrone infrared edition as soon as possible, because I'm sure you guys are just as curious as I am about that. So that's it. Please subscribe, and because we'll be having more about this and the infrared and the SAR Search and Rescue edition. And so subscribe, and we'll be back with more on this very cool new drone. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.